Every old house has its secrets, and mine was no exception. Moving into the creaking Victorian mansion was an exciting prospect, but I soon found that there was something peculiar about the place. It began with faint whispers that echoed through the attic, almost inaudible but impossible to ignore. At first, I dismissed them as a figment of my imagination, a side effect of living alone in such an old and eerie house. But as days turned to weeks, the whispers grew louder, and their unsettling nature became apparent. Each night, I would lie in bed, straining to understand the eerie words that danced on the edge of my hearing. Determined to solve the mystery, I ventured up to the attic one stormy evening, armed with a flashlight and trembling with the knees. The stairs groaned beneath my weight as I ascended, and a musty smell filled the air. The attic was cluttered with dust-covered antiques and forgotten possessions from generations past. The whispers intensified, and an overwhelming sensation of being watched washed over me. "Who's there?" I called out, my voice quivering in the silence. But the whispers only responded with a chilling, collective hush. My heart pounding in my chest, I began searching the attic for the source of the eerie voices. My flashlight's beam illuminated an old wooden trunk, hidden beneath a pile of moth-eaten blankets. As I opened it, a cold gust of wind rushed past me, and the whispers grew louder and more insistent, now almost forming coherent sentences. "Do you hear us? Join us. Stay with us." The words seemed to crawl under my skin, and a sense of dread engulfed me. As I peered deeper into the trunk, I found a bundle of yellowed letters tied with a faded ribbon. The letters bore the date of over a century ago, and were written by a woman named Amelia. The more I read, the clearer the picture became. Amelia had been a recluse, isolated in this very attic, her family shunning her for reasons unknown. Her loneliness and desperation had driven her to make a pact with dark forces, seeking companionship that only the other side could offer. Amelia believed that by sacrificing her soul, she could bind the spirits of the deceased to this house, ensuring she would never be alone again. As I read the chilling words, the whispers seemed to grow more agitated. Shadows flickered around me, and a cold hand brushed against my neck. I dropped the letters, and the attic fell silent. From that day on, my life in the mansion became a nightmare. The whispers never ceased, and the spirits that Amelia had summoned tormented me relentlessly. Objects moved on their own, doors slammed shut without warning, and ghostly figures lurked in the corners of my vision. I tried to leave the house, but something kept pulling me back like an invisible force, chaining me to the haunted mansion. The more I resisted, the more malevolent the spirits became, feeding off my fear and despair. Eventually, I realized that the only way to end the torment was to confront Amelia's spirit directly. Armed with the knowledge of her tragic past, I returned to the attic one final time. This time, I spoke to her with empathy, understanding the pain and loneliness that had driven her to make her fateful decision. With tears in my eyes, I urged her to let go, to find peace and move on to the afterlife. As I spoke, the whispers gradually subsided, and a soft light enveloped the attic. Amelia's spirit appeared before me, her ethereal form fading away as she finally found the solace she had sought for so long. From that moment on, the house was free from the whispers and the sinister presence that had haunted it for centuries. I moved on with my life, but the memory of those chilling whispers in the attic will forever remain etched in my mind. A reminder that some secrets are better left undisturbed, and that even the most desperate of choices can echo through the ages. Moving into the old Victorian house, I was drawn to the allure of its history and charm. However, there was one area that always gave me an uneasy feeling: the attic. It seemed like a place trapped between worlds, cloaked in darkness and mystery. Despite my unease, I tried to dismiss my fears as mere superstition. As the days turned into weeks, strange occurrences began to plague me. Each night, I would hear faint whispers drifting down from the attic, just loud enough to raise the hairs on the back of my neck. The words were indistinct, as if the spirits themselves were struggling to communicate. Yet, their presence was undeniable, and I could feel their eyes upon me. Determined to confront the source of my fear, I mustered the courage to investigate the attic. The wooden staircase groaned under my weight as I ascended, and the air became heavy and suffocating. I reached the attic door, and with trembling hands, I pushed it open. The space was dimly lit, revealing boxes of forgotten memories and dusty furniture from a bygone era. As I explored, my attention was drawn to an ancient-looking box nestled in the corner. It emitted an eerie aura that sent shivers down my spine. Curiosity outweighed my apprehension, and I decided to open it. Inside, I found a grotesque relic, an intricately carved wooden doll, with lifeless, soul-piercing eyes. Unbeknownst to me, opening the box had unleashed malevolent forces that had been dormant for centuries. The whispers in the attic grew louder and more agitated, their eerie chorus filling the air. As night fell, the doll seemed to come alive, its eyes following me as I moved, its presence suffocating. The attic transformed into a nightmarish realm. Objects moved on their own, doors slammed shut with a deafening force, and the whispers escalated into menacing threats. The malevolent entity, once confined, now roamed freely throughout the house. I felt trapped in my own home, the walls closing in on me as the sinister presence tightened its grip. Sleep became elusive, nightmares plagued my mind. The malevolent entity taunted me with visions of past horrors, driving me to the brink of madness. Shadows danced on the walls, taking grotesque shapes, and I could no longer distinguish between reality and the terrifying illusions that haunted me. I knew that I had to confront the malevolent entity and put an end to its reign of terror. Armed with the knowledge of the artifact's origins, I devised a plan to banish it from my home. I returned to the attic, the heart of the haunting, with the doll clutched tightly in my trembling hands. Summoning every ounce of courage, I recited an incantation I had found in an old book. The attic seemed to tremble as the air crackled with energy. The doll's eyes glowed with an eerie light, and the malevolent entity roared with fury. But I held my ground, refusing to be consumed by fear. As the incantation reached its climax, a blinding flash of light enveloped the attic. When it subsided, the malevolent entity was gone, and the attic was once again still and silent. The haunting whispers ceased, and a sense of relief washed over me. Though the malevolent presence was banished, the memory of the haunting remained etched in my mind. The attic had forever changed me, a reminder that some places hold dark secrets, and one must tread carefully in the realms between the living and the dead. From that day on, the attic remained locked and untouched, a silent sentinel to the horrors I had faced and survived.